on southern Lebanon, targeting the areas of Mahmoudiyeh and Jarmak. The Israeli military has stated that the strikes hit Hezbollah infrastructure, but details on casualties or damage are still unclear. The attack marks another alleged breach of the U.S.-brokered ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah that's been in place since November last year. Meanwhile, Israeli forces have confirmed an overnight ground incursion into the Lebanese village of Blida. An Israeli military spokesperson has stated that troops opened fire after spotting a suspect posing an immediate threat. Lebanese officials report that a municipal employee was killed inside the local government building, which Israel claimed without evidence was being used by Hezbollah. Now for this discussion, we welcome Sasha Majta. He's a political commentator, joins us live from Jerusalem. Thank you very much, Sasha, for joining us again. Good to see you. Sasha, thank you. Sasha, now Lebanese government says that Israel has not given any of evidence for this attack, but what is the situation? What more can you tell us about this?
Yeah, so first I'd like to express my relief that the 17 children that were taken hostage have been rescued, so I'm very happy about that. Regarding your question, since the U.S. brokered ceasefire came into effect, Israel has been enforcing this ceasefire. Israel has been carrying out strikes in southern Syria and maintained 5 posts along the southern area of Lebanon, because as we know, Hezbollah still has some sort of presence in southern Lebanon despite Israel totally degrading their capabilities. But again, last night, Israel there was a ground incursion in the southern Lebanon to reach a Hezbollah post, a Hezbollah position. Hezbollah is not supposed to be active in Lebanon. In southern Lebanon, Hezbollah is supposed to disarm, and Israel is actually helping enforce this deal so that Hezbollah will not become a threat to the northern civilians of Israel. And about the statement by the president of Lebanon, I think it's important to take it with a grain of salt and understand the domestic pressure that he must be caving to or feeling when calling out Israel for this breach of sovereignty, in his words, because of course it's not a popular move to support Israel in the goal of taking down Hezbollah's capabilities. That being said, I think that Hezbollah has effectively created a state within a state for the past years, a state within a state, and Lebanon has been in a situation of total chaos and havoc where Hezbollah is the de facto army, and the army has not as much power as Hezbollah terror army. But now we see an effort on behalf of Israel, but also backed by the U.S. to totally disarm Hezbollah. So I think that Israel is doing a favor, and I hope that Lebanon were to collaborate in this effort of disarming Hezbollah in the south so that the Lebanese country and the people can live under a stable government and not be basically occupied by a terrorist organization.
Yes, Sasha, thank you very much for sharing that. Please, let's look at Lebanese President Joseph Aoun's reaction. Now, Lebanon's President Joseph Aoun has now reacted to the situation. Aoun has ordered the country's armed forces to confront any Israeli incursions in the south following an overnight Israeli raid that has killed a municipal worker in the village of Blida. In a statement released after a meeting with the army chief, Aoun has directed the military to defend Lebanese territory and ensure the safety of citizens in what he has described as liberated southern areas. The order comes after Israeli forces entered southern Lebanon and opened fire inside a municipal building, claiming it was being used by Hezbollah, a claim Lebanese officials have dismissed. Now we welcome back Sasha Majta. He's a political commentator, joins us live from Jerusalem. Thank you very much, Sasha, for staying with us. Sasha, as we were just talking about this, and you also mentioned that Lebanese army is not strong enough to disarm Hezbollah on its own. What are the challenges that they face, and why are they weak?
For many years, for decades, Hezbollah has building up a terror regime that's been funded by Iran. Money has been transferred, millions and millions, billions of dollars have been funneled into Lebanon to create uh, a proxy for Iran in the simple goal of destroying the state of Israel. Hezbollah's sole raison d'etre, the whole reason for their existence is in fact to attack and to be the first front against Israel in Iran's active war of destruction. So the main challenge is that Hezbollah has for years been creating this massive capabilities that are equivalent to that of an army, but that being said, they have military capabilities of an army, but no responsibilities for their people. So they've been able to channel and funnel all that money into pure military activity and let the people, the Lebanese people, suffer under this state within a state. So the main challenge is that the Lebanese army has been very weak over the past years, and now there's been an effort, and there's been a strong effort backed by the US and backed by the new Lebanese administration to become the only army in Lebanon, and that means getting rid of Hezbollah. But the Lebanese army needs assistance. It needs Israeli assistance because Israel, one, cannot trust a weak Lebanese army to do this job for themselves. Israel cannot give their basic security requirements to the hands of a weak Lebanese army, but at the same time, Lebanon cannot openly rely on Israel to do this because it's a very unpopular move. As I said before, no one wants to give up their sovereignty and be seen as a country collaborating with Israel. It's very unpopular in the region. So I think the main challenge is gonna be how is Israel gonna work with Lebanon to disarm Hezbollah, to make sure that Hezbollah is no longer a threat to the Israelis, but also no longer a threat to the Lebanese people that are basically held hostage by this terror group that's ruling their country.
Yes, indeed. With that, I would like to thank Sasha Machta for joining us as a political commentator from Jerusalem. Thank you very much. Now we move on to Europe. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has lashed out at a Senate committee probing a corruption scandal that's threatening to topple his fragile left-wing government, calling the inquiry a circus. The hearing comes amid intense pressure over alleged kickbacks for COVID-era contracts that have ensnared several of Sanchez's former allies, including ex-Transport Minister José Luis Ábalos and senior socialist figure Santos Jerdán. Police raids on socialist headquarters and fresh indictments have deepened the crisis, with opposition leader Alberto Feijó accusing Sanchez of lying to stay in power. Sanchez denies any wrongdoing, insisting he neither knew nor benefited from the scheme. He's unveiled new anti-corruption reforms to calm tensions with coalition partner Sumar, as separate probes targeting his wife and brother continue to fuel political turmoil in Madrid. Now we move on to Asia. China has pledged to expand its agricultural trade with the US, but without offering clear details on when or how much it plans to buy. Following Trump's meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, Trump has told reporters that Beijing would begin purchasing tremendous amounts of soybeans and other farm goods immediately. However, China's Commerce Ministry statement stopped short of specifying the volume or timeline of those purchases. The lack of clarity disappointed investors, with Chicago soybean futures falling with about 2% after the announcement. China remains the world's largest soybean buyer and was once the biggest market for U.S. farmers before trade tensions and tariffs prompted a shift towards South American suppliers. The China Manned Space Agency announced that Zhang Lu, Wu Fei, and Zhang Hongzhang will lead the Shenzhou 21 crewed mission, with Zhang Lu as a commander. The spacecraft will launch at 11:44 p.m. Beijing time Friday from the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center. This marks the sixth manned mission since China's space station entered its application phase and the 37th flight of its manned program. For the first time, 4 space mice, 2 males and 2 females, will join the crew to study how mammals adapt to microgravity. the astronauts will spend about 6 months in the orbit conducting experiments, spacewalks, and equipment installation, and will welcome the Tianzhou-10 cargo ship and Shenzhou 2020 crew before Shenzhou 20 returns to Earth.